So, Bike Radio, for those of you that are new to the channel, this is our new morning radio show. It might be at night sometimes. We're hoping to have a weekly thing. We talk about all things bikes, from roadie stuff, mountain, gravel, Zwift, whatever it might be. Open to questions. If you've been to the YouTube channel before, those are more our thoughts, sharings on specific topics. This is going to be the exact opposite. This is going to be basically the Joe Rogan of bikes. And my last comment on the intro is thank you to Jelbo. I think my logo might be backwards. They are the giveaway in the Discord, which ends in like 12 hours. So if you're not there, you should be. And all right, here we go. I had a bunch of things that came across yesterday.
I like that plug. I'm in.
What's that?
I like the plug. I'm in.
Yeah, in. Good. Did you do the giveaway? You can be in the giveaway too.
Oh no, I didn't do it.
Oh yeah, I didn't do it either. I was afraid of messing it up.
You guys can be in it. You guys can be in it because it's so good. It's like one that you want to win. You definitely want to win it.
What is it? The shades?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Nice.
Shades in the hat?
I could ask for a hat. I'll ask for a hat. That's very nice. The hat is a very nice bulbous logo sewed on there. So, hey, the first thing I want to bring up was we had a comment that kind of stems from the last conversation. And this guy was talking about what we had said. I made the comment that below 22 degrees, it's not smart to ride outdoors. That was more just my preference. I don't like getting flats when then, if you're pre-carbon wheel riding all the time, when you used to ride aluminum wheels, if you flatted and then you would have to take the tire off and you have your gloves off, your hands are going to freeze. It just sucks. So this guy had asked the question. He's up in Canada. He's like, dude, it's easily below 22. The streets might be covered. What are the alternatives? Don't get me wrong. I don't mind riding outside in the winter. I commute by bike all year round, but there's a huge difference between riding a single speed enclosed for 60 minutes versus riding a road bike for 3+ hours. Also, who knows what the power meter would be doing at 10 Fahrenheit? I don't know. Maybe I don't want to know. So how do we feel about number 1, fat bike, number 2, cross-country skiing, number 3, indoor cycling? I know you're a big advocate of riding the bike outside so you become better at using it and maneuvering it, but if it's not possible during the winter, what's better? 3 to 4 hours of cross-country skiing or 3 to 4 hours of roller/trainer if you can tolerate it? Thanks. Looking forward to the next episode of Bike Radio. I think I know what both of you are going to say, but I'm curious.
Well, I was going to say outside. Patrick, you go ahead.
Don't mute yourself.
I was just going to say, if you're tolerating it, you shouldn't be doing it. You should do something else. Like, I think an outdoor cross country would provide the benefit you're going after, and it sounds fun. If you can incorporate some indoor riding, definitely do it. There's nothing wrong with that, and there's lots of ways you can use Zwift to do steady riding in like the 3 to 4 watt per kilogram range, which is going to be plenty hard for most people's endurance. And a little bit of both probably is your best method. You want to come out of winter ready to crush.
That's another question too. That's a good. What do you think, Josh?
Well, I agree, but did he say? I totally agree with Patrick. What he said. Did he say that he did like doing fat bike rides?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say do that.
But he said, mountain biking, it'll be hard to ride true endurance.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to do it all the time. I think a combination of everything. It's like you're stuck inside on Zwift.
Yeah.
But what I was also going to say was, and this isn't actually his question, but if you are worried about flats, maybe try to go tubeless on the road, or go with a thicker tire in the winter. Go with a gator skin, or maybe even put a cross tire on there or something. But if it's icy and stuff, I understand. But just something that would help you maybe prevent those flats.
I think the skiing is huge. I mean, your heart doesn't know the difference. You're getting the cardiac benefit. I think that, fat biking would be cool. It's just, it seemed like even in Rochester, when it snows, a fat bike you kind of got to be on trails, or you got to be on like a cross country skiing trail, or like you can't just go in 3 feet of snow. Like there's no biking option. I don't know. I would try to ride as much as possible outside. I would do the skiing. I would variety. I think variety is good. Like then during the week, it's going to be dark. Do the Zwift and just people forget that. Well, they don't forget they weren't there. But like when there was no Zwift and you had 4 months of winter, it was like, okay, hopefully the roads are clear this weekend. So this week I have to do 4.5 hours indoors on a trainer looking at a basement brick wall. Or like you could, put a TV going or whatever. But like it's so easy now. And people are like, winter. I'm like, dude, you have it so easy. Just be active. I don't know.
Well,
When you say ready to crush, I think I've had some conversations with people about that. Like, do you want to come out and kill people in the spring and then maybe like calm it down a little bit in the summer? Or I think the confidence boost from riding well in the spring is a big boost, unless you're far enough along that you really need to hold back for like a huge race like nationals or something. I think in previous years, like, 2013, 14, I came out so hot in spring that by July 1st, I was ready for a break. That's not really how I should have been going into nationals. It's definitely a balance.
Yeah. I think if you're all winter, you're chasing 0.01, then you're probably going to come out too hot. But if you're just like really trying to train well and be fit, like really develop the fitness, that's different than like saying like, I gotta like go like a little further, a little extra, and then you're like really walking that line early in the season and like being not excited about riding or training.
What do you mean by 0.01?
Like
super specific.
That 0.01, that last like I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better than everybody right now. Like right now, I have to be the absolute best I can possibly be.
That was me last season. I was like, this is what I need to do. Must do 30 hours of training and just God, cringe. What are you thinking about, Noggle?
Well, I was going to say, dude, we always get this question. I think we've already had it in the Discord, is everyone's like, what about doing some running? Everyone, when it gets cold out, everyone's like, what if I transition to doing some running every week?
I mean, you can't run that far. The aerobic workout is so short. I'll go spend that 45 minutes in lift. And if you're running an hour, then that's pretty damn long. How often are you doing it? The cost benefit, and Patrick and I have had many discussions about this, runners get injured. It's part of their sport. And that's when they are good at running. They have great form. You are Joey Cyclist and you're jumping off your bike and you're going to go running. Half, maybe it's aggressive, a lot, end up pulling something, tweaking something stiff. Like I've talked to runners, I'm like, how do you avoid this? They're like, dude, you don't. It's part of the sport. Like people's careers get derailed from injuries in running. And that's just like, you feel bad for them, but they missed the race. Why would you want to do that now? This is when you need to get strong. This is when you need to build aerobic foundation. Running, if you're a cross rider.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a runner, maybe you can run a little bit, but I wouldn't pick up a new discipline or become a multi-sport athlete in the winter. I've done it in the past. I've definitely tried. I mean, Brendan, we both kind of run a little in the winter and never really thought it gave us that big of a benefit or like was like any sort of secret sauce, or you're just trying to like maintain your volume of training. I would lean towards saying like, if you want an hour of something like medium hard, I'll do. If you think that's going to bring benefit to your overall training load, I would do like an hour of tempo once a week. And, and then do your intervals on top of that. If you can maintain that, that's that sort of kind of like running, like it's an aerobic, it'll be a hard aerobic session. Mm-hmm. But it's not a replacement for a longer, super long ride. But if you're really crunched for options, that's a better option than running. an hour.
Yeah, and I think too when people decide to run is they're like, well, it's so crappy out, I'm gonna go run, and I'm like, on icy sidewalks. They're like, good point. I'm like, this is the worst idea ever. Go ice skating. Go rent some skates and seriously go ice skating. Go jump in a pool. Go do all these other, you don't need to be, well, I want load bearing. It's like, well, if you want to put some stress on your skeleton, go lift some stuff. There's double the benefit there. It's just get in the gym. Well, I want to get more aerobic workout. Great. Do lighter weights and jump around a lot. Like, don't use a ton of rest between them. I just think running, you got to be dedicated to that sport. Runners they're diehard runners jumping in, and I don't know, but
I think Patrick hit it with replacement. People are looking for that replacement where there are more options, like you said, Brendan, like get on Zwift, do something right inside, but go do something else. Like you said, there are so many other options.
a big goal that's come up in a couple conversations recently was, and I love it. This one guy, he's super smart, but he made the comment to me. He's like, I feel like now would be the time to lose weight. And I'm like, bingo, dude. Yes. Why? Do you want to lose some more? And he's like, well, I'm 172. I want to get to 165. And I was like, great. Let's put up the goalpost now. And he made the comment. He's like, he does ride a lot. He's like, my problem is I eat garbage. He's like, I know I don't eat like you. And I'm like, dude, I'm not like a Zen body Buddhist monk, like eating only carrots. Like I eat some weird, like bad stuff. But I told him, and I can't remember who said this once, nothing tastes as good as fast feels. Like if you lose 7 pounds, you will be noticeably faster. Like these climbs that you do, you go pick up a 5-pound bag of sugar. But I love that he was like, now's the time to do it. And so then I think the biggest thing is November and December coming. We're all going to be surrounded by it's not even food, it's candy. Like, let's call it what it is. Like holiday food is bad. So I think, it's easy to make the right choices when you have a big race 2 months away. I personally find it much harder to make the choice when the next race is, what is it, November, December, January, maybe 4 or 5 months away. But think of your training, think of like something that mentally keeps you on point. Like, what do you guys do for that? How do you personally wade through the holiday season? And I think, if you like cookies or you like whatever, like have one, but you don't have to have 15. Maybe that's the rule. Like, I don't know. What do you tell people?
It's a lifestyle. Figure it out.
Boom. Hit them with it.
No, but
okay, guys, you've said that enough. That's a cop-out answer at this point.
Yeah. No, I mean.
But you're right, man. It is.
You can't be perfect 100% of the time. Nobody's perfect 100% of the time. That's not a reality. But if you're constantly like, all right, I'm hitting the mark, whatever your mark is, whatever your measurement of like healthy eating or like eating like an athlete is, as long as you're kind of hitting that most of the time, and you're not starting like next week or like, oh wow, I did it a couple weeks ago and then it was kind of bad and I'll start again later. It's just kind of, it's got to be you got to commit to doing it all the time, and then give yourself little landmarks. Like if there's like Asaka will come home with like cookies from school, and I'll eat 2 cookies. It's like not going to be the end of the world because 7 days a week I eat pretty clean. My weight doesn't really go up and down because it's just the way I choose to operate.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, we're gonna go home. I'm gonna see my family, and we're gonna make cinnamon rolls, and I'm gonna eat a couple, and I'm not gonna freak out like, well, I'm derailed, now I quit. No, it's like I'm gonna wake up the next morning, I'm gonna ride my bike, I'm gonna get back to the usual schedule, and it's not gonna be the end of the world. I'm not doing it every 3 hours. I'm not like, oh, a cinnamon roll, here's some ice cream, here's the cookies, Mom, what else you got? Like, that's gonna mess you up. But if you can just maintain control and say, like, this is like, I choose to be this way, and then it's a lifestyle, and you figured it out.
Boom.
Moderation, man.
Even moderation of moderation.
Yes.
I think my problem, I think know yourself. Like, I think that I'll make, instead of being like, okay, I'm going to eat, I've really, the no sugar thing that Craig brought up to us, like, I've absolutely loved. So, like, if I want something that I'm like, ooh, I need to just eat something like a little bit bad, I'm going to grab like tortilla chips. It's oil and corn. Like, okay, that's my, and salt. Okay, that's, I think is going to be better for me than like sugar, butter, or whatever. And just doesn't, the calories don't add up as much. You can throw salsa on it so you get some veggies. And so like make your choice of like what bad thing you're going to eat. It doesn't always have to be there's sometimes there's a less horrible option. And I don't know. It's getting through the holidays though. That's clutch because it's when people are like mid-January, okay, I'm ready to lose weight. It's like, dude, you missed the boat. You need to be building power.
Yeah, get into, sorry, Josh, just get into like, hit Thanksgiving and be like, all right, cool, I've already like lost a little weight, I cleaned it up. And then you hit Christmas, and by the time you're hitting these marks where you're maybe gonna like take half a step backwards or like have a bag of chips or eat the cookie or whatever, you've already done legwork. You're not like, well, I've been in off season, so I've just been ballooning and not paying attention to anything I do. And yeah.
Ballooning.
I was going to say some planning too, like you don't have to go nuts, but don't put yourself in a situation, or try not to, where like you're starving and like you have to eat out or do something. Like just a little bit of planning goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. I had, I was thinking back to way before the gravel days, or at least before gravel was popular. I remember doing like century rides or like wanting to do 120 miles, talking to people about doing like some crazy long rides. And people always said, dude, you're crazy. This doesn't even make sense. Your races are maybe 4.5 hours at the very long end of things, more like 3 to 3.5, blah, blah, blah. And now fast forward to gravel, the short gravel races are 100 miles. The normal ones are 150. The long ones are, God, who knows how long. And I was talking to a guy who's probably 3 years in, and we were talking about 3 years into training, seriously. And we were talking about, he does like Leadville, does big gravel, he's going to do big sugar, and talking about pacing, but then also like how to finish strong, where in the group is he? I actually had posted this in the Discord. And then one thing that I thought, I was like, dude, you got to understand, you're doing crazy ass rides for being in your serious third year of training. Nobody 10 years ago that I knew, I'm sure there were people, but there was no Strava to know about this. No one was doing these 150 mile all the time rides, going and doing a 200-mile race. Like that was unheard of. Like it's really interesting to try to keep perspective for people when it's like, you're going to get better at hour 5, 6, and 7 just in time. Like you just got to keep riding. The fact that you're doing a 150-mile ride casually, or like, not a race, is nobody did that. Like the game has totally changed. I think it's just really interesting to kind of look back at what everybody was saying about those types of mileages. Part of me wishes I just did them anyways. I kind of was like, yeah, they're right. 100, and granted, 6 hours on the bike is pretty damn long anyways. But it's interesting, like so many newer people are riding really, really far. I just thought that was interesting.
Do you think that's going to affect people's longevity on the bike?
I think it's going to make them faster. I think it's going to make them better. Like, if you can ride, I think, well, that's the thing. It makes people look at, we were always looking at performance for like a 3 to 4 hour race. These people are looking at performance for a 6, 7, 8 hour day. And it's like, I don't even know how I would have felt completing one of those. Especially back then, nutrition was not dialed. I remember dying at the end of like some 6 hour rides just because I didn't know to eat that much. It was like, eat 300 calories an hour. Yeah, that's not enough. And there was like the whole carb up and what are you eating the day before and preparing for things like that is just so different. I think it's going to make, it's evolution. we know more, we're learning more. How many years ago were we telling people 60 grams of carbs an hour? And it's like, oop, wait, actually, it's almost double that. Our bad. It's like, but what's new in the cross world?
What's new in the cross world? Just lots of races, man. You're in the midst of it. It's back in Europe. World Cup on Sunday. Super Prestige, I think, tomorrow. There's also races in the U.S. and Cincy.
We went to Zonhoven. That's on Sunday.
Oh yeah, nice, man.
Sunday.
When did you go there? Did you watch the race, or were you just traveling through there?
No, I was living in Belgium, and so we went. Patrick came over and visited me. And we went with two of our friends, and it's really funny. You take the train up to this one area, and you had to walk through a forest to get there. And so we get off the train. I'm like, hey, do you guys know where Zonhoven is? And they're like, no, there's no place like that around here. I'm like, no, yeah, Zonhoven. And they're like, definitely not. I'm like, there's a bike race, a cyclocross race. Oh, Zonhoven. Yeah, this way. I'm like, dude, that really? It sounds that much different. And they're like, here, walk down this thing, walk through this forest, da-da-da. You're going to pop out and you can't miss. And you like walk on. It's just like mayhem. They've got the tent, like no one's there yet. We got there early. The tent is just like they show on TV, like blasting techno music at 10:30 in the morning. People already starting to drink, eating a big thing of fries. Like that day.
It was wild.
Wild.
What year was that?
2015?
I think so.
Okay.
6 years ago.
I moved in 2016. It was the year before that. Yeah.
Awesome. Did you guys see some dudes go down the sand pits?
Oh, dude, it's gnarly.
Right on the other
It's
side of
insane.
they went down and then up, and we were like right next to the course on the up part.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, that's a hill. It's ridiculous. It's like riding your bike off a cliff. It's like, okay, bye. Oh.
Yeah. And you can see on their face, you just don't know if you're going to eat it or not. It's just like a prayer every time. And
that was like Sven Nice's last year racing, right?
yeah, everywhere he went, he was super. I went there. I went to probably 3 big races. I can't remember the town of the other. I think I went to Namur, and can't remember the other one. I was rolling solo to a lot of it though, so it was fun, but it would have been cooler to be in like a huge pack of people. So Zonhoven was definitely like the best one.
Mm-hmm.
But the atmosphere, I mean, those guys are rock stars, and just like they portray it, there's, Sven Nice, huge bus, crew, da-da-da. Then like little Belgian, not famous yet, trying to make it there with a broken down Sprinter van with his dad. Somebody still has a flag with his name on it. Maybe like they made a patch and put it on a hat, and like his supporter crew's way smaller, and he's 2 rows back. It was really cool. I think Belgium's a crazy place. I think at some point I'll go back there and follow some races around, but definitely some other stuff in Europe. It's cool when the culture loves cycling. I moved in an Airbnb and they're like, oh, do you like Van Avermaet? And I was like, you know him? They're like, know him? He's like, yeah, wait, what? And I like broke their brain asking that question. I'm like, oh, it's just in the US. If I went to an Airbnb, no one's going to know anybody except maybe Lance Armstrong. And they're like, yeah, no, welcome to Belgium. That's our dude. I was like, got it. So.
Hey, what did it cost to go to the race? I'm just curious.
0.
Oh, was it? I thought there was
that one actually. Did we get charged at that one?
I don't know if there was a door.
There was one that I think I paid something. I can't remember where, but there's like no door.
It's like a fair. Once you go in, you buy tickets, and tickets get you everything: beer,
Gotcha.
fries, access to whatever areas, and not.
Yeah. No, I don't think the areas were cut off. I think it was just food, and the tickets were annoying because then it was like, oh, I'm 2 tickets short. Damn it! And then you got to go back and buy tickets.
Uh-huh.
I think it's cool you guys talk about the atmosphere. People don't realize, like talking to my wife when I'm watching the races, she's like, there's a lot of people there. I'm like, yeah, it's not like US Cross. I'm like, this is like a football game. You know, this is huge.
Dude,
thousands and thousands.
We got there and like staked out our play. We did a lap. We saw people warm up, watch part of the women, and then we were like, okay, where's the best vantage point? We staked it out. By the time the race was like halfway through, everyone was over there, and it was just like a freaking party. I mean, they don't hold back either. It's like, I think somebody was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm like, dude, everyone's peeing right there. Like, yeah. It's just kind of like, you're right next to the wood. So it's like, okay, cool. And I mean, those people get cocked. So it was a wild festival, but highly recommend. Just, you know, I think that would be similar if you went to like South American football, maybe. You know, like their soccer culture is just insane. Though that you watch the crowds with like just medieval flag. It looks like a medieval like times. Like, we're gonna go kill the other people on the other side of the moat. Let's do this. Okay. Super interesting question came up, and we were, I forget how we were talking about this. We were talking about looking at power data during a ride. And I guess Yolanda Neff won the XC Gold in Tokyo with her power field off, like never looked at it, just raced the race. And I made the comment back to this guy. I'm like, dude, I've actually never, I don't even know if I've ever verbalized this. I look down like during a race, the first hour, a lot of them look down like, oh, damn, this is hard. I'm not looking at any numbers. Like, what am I going to learn from that? Like, you are racing, like you're reading the race, you're trying to figure out what's going on, who's going up the road, how many people are up the road, where are your teammates, who's looking good, who's not. Like, there's just 8 million things going on. Who cares about the watts? You're going to do whatever you got to do to make the thing happen. And this person doesn't race a ton. And so I was like, damn, maybe I need to be sending more people out on rides, like go ride this by feel and just go, I'm trying to think of what a good example would be. Like, maybe even send them on something that's harder, like over-unders, and just be like, do these by feel and let's see how you did on them. What does that feel like? Like, do you guys do that at all? I think I've never thought about when you're racing so much, not looking at the power meter is like second nature. I mean, I look at the power meter during intervals a little bit, but it's kind of like, go over. Yeah, I know this is over. And I'll like look down after 30 seconds and be like, oh, first one like went too hard, went to like get a gauge of how my legs are feeling that day. But I'm not like staring at the numbers. And I don't know. Comments, thoughts. You guys are looking at me like I have 8 heads.
I was just trying not to jump on top of
I'm doing the same thing, man. I'm pausing so Patrick can jump in.
Yeah, I do some RPE and time-based intervals, not on a regular basis, but like in transition periods, sometimes during rest weeks. It just kind of depends. I use that to maybe like address or try to have an impact on, like exactly when you're not riding by power, you're riding by feel, by RPE. If somebody really doesn't have a sense of what they can do, or if I'm looking for them to try to break through sort of a plateau, or I think they're plateauing themselves. Maybe they're physiologically they're not plateaued, but that's when I'll go like, just go ham on it. Or, what's 7 feel like? How many times can you do a 7? That's a hard thing to train. Like I never had any of the coaches I've had. I never had a coach like really teach me to do that. I think it's something kind of just develop on your own. But like, yeah, once you said like racing is stochastic, you're going to get out and you're going to start a race. And it's more important to be paying attention to like the research you did to know the course than to like say like I need to go, if I can't cross 400 watts. Because actually the very first race I did, this is stupid. It was Bristol. Bristol is the very first race I ever did, and we're warming up with the behind, and like the moto's taking us out on course, and like we're going up a hill. And it's like kind of hard. I'm like, oh, all right, we're going kind of hard. And I looked down, I'm like, okay, we're going like 300, so I probably need to start backing down. And so I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna keep it like around 3. And then the race started. I was like at the back of the race. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna keep it right around here. So like gradually the race was like here, and I was here. I was like, okay, let's just keep going. They'll probably stop eventually, and I'll just keep.
You dropped?
I guess that's it.
And that was it.
And that was it. And then I rode solo at like 22 average, like right behind the group for most of the day until some people got dropped and I caught them. It was so silly. But I didn't know. I didn't know what bike racing was. I'd never been told like you get a draft when you're in the pack. I didn't know that existed. But my point is that like there's a lot going on. You need to like think about the race in the beginning of the race. It's one thing if the race starts off up like a 20-minute climb, like, and you're like 5 minutes in, you're like, all right, maybe I should know how hard I'm going, and you're like 5% over a 5-minute PB. You're probably not going to finish that 20-minute segment that strong, and maybe you could have had some benefit by riding within yourself, because if you implode halfway up a 20-minute climb, but races don't start like that, so typically.
But even if it did, I think even saying it, coming back to the RPE, like you should be looking at the other riders, because this actually happened in Masters Nationals. You go over this little lump and then you start the climb. These two dudes started hitting the bottom portion like hard, and I was like holding the wheel for a second. I was like, I cannot maintain this, and if we blow up, we are at, like, if you get counterattacked on something that steep, like it's game over. You're not following them. So I just backed down. Within 30 seconds, they realized they were going way too hard. But you just got to look at other people and be like, where am I at? Know how you're feeling. Like, it sounds so basic.
Power meter for you to know that.
What's that?
It didn't take a power meter for you.
Exactly. But people get into this so much that what are my watts? What are my watts? I even had a heart rate question today. It's like, hey, after you do those sprints, and I'm not knocking this dude. Hey, after you do sprints yesterday, do you notice that your power to heart rate is much lower and you're less efficient? I was like, dude, I am not looking at my heart rate after I do some 6-second sprints. Like, I must be missing something. Why everyone is so obsessed with heart rate. I love you, Dan Barney. But when Dan Barney looked at me and said, dude, I had to drop out of that group, I was looking at my heart rate and I was almost maxed out. And I was like, so you actually backed out of the break because your heart rate was that high? I was like, yeah, I think I might have blown up. I was going to blow up. I was like, well, you should have figured it out. Like, I was so pissed. Like, you literally let this little thing on your chest, the number on your Garmin that could have been wrong, tell you to back out of the break. Like, I was about to break my bike. People overthink this stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's just being too, like, I feel like sometimes I'm old man curmudgeon, but it's just, I can't understand this. Just keep pedaling. Do you feel okay? Yeah, who cares what the numbers say? I don't know.
I could have sworn I heard this from you guys, but sometimes I'll give some athletes some intervals where it's 1 by power and then 1 by feel. I could have sworn I got that from you guys, but I think that's a good way of, and then they can go back and look at the power and be like, oh, I was pretty close or I was way off, and then work on that RPE. I
actually haven't done that. I've done 1 by power, 1 by speed. Just be like, go ride, do a 20-minute at X watts, and then go ride 20 minutes being really fast. I'm like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, practice being fast. What if you're in a break? I'm actually going to post, and it almost shouldn't be, it's almost like an ad hoc over-under, but I don't think people understand how to ride off the front. And I'm starting to think of a great example is when I went to Rochester and did this training race. And the course has a lot of like little stair steps, and there's points where you want to visually get out of people seeing you. Those types of efforts, there are many VO2 max surges where it's like, how long can I surge to get, if people are coming up behind you in a climb, they're not riding at threshold. So why the hell do people off the front feel like they can ride at threshold and stay away? It was like, I'm going to go back to this power file and see what it looks like. So to the point of go out and ride by speed, go ride over threshold. Then you hit it downhill, get super aero and get ready to crush it again. As well as over under, like go as fast as possible. That does not mean riding at 95 to 105% FTP. Just the more and more I do this, I'm like steady state. And even like, I know people are like over unders 95 and 105%. I'm like, no, it's not really over. I mean, yeah, it's over under, but not that much over and that much under. So, but yeah, 1 by RPE would be interesting.
You know what? Also going along with that speed, and I've had this question. I think this has come up in the Discord. Is like I had an athlete going into his event, and he's like, "Yeah, well, I'm really going to focus on no zone one and keeping it endurance." And I was like, "No," I was like, "Dude, this is race day. This is event day. Like, you do whatever you can to go as fast as you can. You know, like sit in the pack, go easy. You want as much zone one as you can, whatever you have to do to win."
A lot of zone 1 on race day. A lot of zone 1, a lot of zone 6. Just crushing.
I got a random question for you guys.
Yeah.
I just had this chat last night with this cross guy, or 2 nights ago, it doesn't matter. But we were talking about getting pumped up for races. And we were talking about 2 different scenarios, and there definitely are more. But like, what type of pump up person are you? Are you the person who's like, I'm going to war, I want to kill everyone out there, or I'm super calm and like that's the way I go into my race? And do you think that there's a benefit to one, or is it super personal?
I mean, Patrick and I used to call it kill mode, but I was like, dude, we can't really call it that because it sounds like we're just in an age where that's just probably not a good idea. But with that being said, I'm not a big like hype music. I think that wastes energy. I think I'm more like, you can waste the difference in a bike race win can be who has 20 more watts at the end of 4 hours. So I'm not going to be like dancing around before the race and da-da-da. Pretty low key. I'm also like I don't really want to socialize. Like, I'm not there. Like, there are people that are like riding around and they're just chit chatting and whatever. It's like, I'm getting ready. I'm going to go out and do my warm up. I rarely warm up with my teammates because they're not going to do the exact same thing that I'm going to do. And I want to pee when I want to pee. I want to get in my zone. And other people are like, that's too specific. That's fine. But I love being on the start line, being like, okay, if people take off right now, I'm ready. The number of road races, everyone should go back and look at your files. How hard do American road races start? Usually pretty damn hard. And I am amazed when someone's warm up is, dude, they sit there for like 5 minutes, they're talking to somebody, and then like, and then you go, and the race starts, and it's I'm like, would you ever do intervals that way? They're like, well, no, I'd have to be warmed up. Oh, I'm like, cool. Now next time, go. Like, it takes 20 to 30 minutes. Some people don't get there early enough. So that's a verbose answer, but I just think the preparation, people do all of this work before race day, and they get to race day, and it's like chit chat social time. I'm like, dude, I'm there to race. I'll talk to you after, maybe, but it's race day.
Yeah, even if it's not an A race, you want to be practicing your method, your way of doing things. I'm not quite so like regimented, I wouldn't say, but that being said, I like having that in the background like that. I feel like I always race well when it's like Brendan's like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm like, oh, that's right. We're okay. This is the schedule. We're on the schedule. But it's a positive. It's a net positive. And I'm not crazy hype music, but I like to have an extra cup of coffee and sit in the car. And, I get a lot of, I like to study the start list, and I like to study the course, and I like to have kind of like a understanding of that, doing those things pre-races. And then, before, in like the morning of, when I'm pitting my number, that I'm just thinking about those things. And trying to focus on that. That's kind of what I like to key in on.
I think too, the pre-race, like when I'm riding around, I'm getting a sense of like, how do I feel that day? Some days you're just like, ooh, that feels harder than it should. Maybe I need to save. Maybe I don't have as many matches. Like, I might need to save. And you could be wrong. Like, there are days, and this is why doing intervals I think is really important. You learn your body. There are days when I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do this workout. I just don't feel great walking around. My legs feel a little tired, whatever. You go and you crush it. And it's like, wow, that kind of surprised me. So I have that in the back of my head, like, I might just not be feeling like super ready, but my body's ready. I think that also, like Patrick's saying, if you're with somebody else, and especially if you don't know each other, communicating how you like your race morning to be is very important because Brandon Malott and I, B Money, who was on the podcast, got in a huge blowout right before Masters Nationals in Colorado. He was like, yo, dude, you are all about yourself. And I'm like, no, man, I'm all about this race. This is how I get ready. Like, maybe we didn't talk about this before, but I'm not on anyone else's schedule. And this is how I do my thing. Like, I thought we were driving to the race together and like doing our thing. So I'm not trying to be selfish, but I'm trying to put my best foot forward because we're on the team together and I expect you to perform. I expect me to perform. Like, we drove to freaking Colorado. So this is how I get ready for my game time. You get ready for yours. And it was just a very huge misunderstanding. And that even leads into the days before, like, when do we want to pre-ride? When do we want to go see the course? Do we want to do this? Like, it's good to kind of map things out a little bit. And that, even going on a tangent, that goes to the other people that are going, maybe your spouse, maybe somebody else. Like, people that don't ride don't understand that this is a lifestyle. You're going to be in bed early. You're going to want carbs. You're going to want to do this. You got to get your, the first race that Chris and I went to, I was like, yo, dude, we got to go eat. He didn't understand you got to eat 3 hours before. Like, and I was like, he was like, oh, I'm going to take a shower. And I was like, no, like, we need to go, I don't know how to say this politely. Like, we need to go eat now. Like, I need to be eating food. And he was like, what, why are you so? And then like, I explained it to him, but people that don't ride don't know that. So always goes back to communication. Just try and get everybody on the same page. And you got to be flexible. I've tried to be more like, I like getting to races early. Some people want to get there a little bit later. Like, you don't have to be a soup Nazi about it, but I think communicate why you want what you want. And then usually everybody's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. We're all in agreement on this. It's just makes the whole day go way smoother.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually took a point. Somebody was talking about intensity factor in a race, and I was like, dude, you want the lowest intensity factor. Like, how can you win with doing the least amount of work? That's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys doing this weekend? All I got left is I got Saturday off. I'm going to go for endurance ride today. I'm actually working on, I've felt pretty tired these past few days, but I want to keep riding because I have 5 days off. I'm going to Colorado in a week. And I think it's just a lot of these. I've been going for a hell of a lot of KOMs. And I'm going to be, it's like just nonstop. And the other day, I actually commented in the Discord. I went for one the other day. Yesterday, it was a 2 minute and 20-second effort. And I was like, I'm scraping the barrel here. Like, I am pretty tired. I got it, but it was like max effort. And I did one the other day. It was a 9-minute effort and just like shattered me. I didn't get nervous, but I was like 2 hours from home and I was like, I'm feeling that one. Like, I'm definitely tired. So I'm actually going to go back and look at, I thought some interesting time segments would be, so I kind of been going KOMs for like 7 weeks now, which is absurd. It like kind of worked into the end of the season. And then I was traveling a lot and I was in these different areas. I'm like, yo, Tom, I'm just going to crush a couple rides this week. So I don't mean every ride, but like, I haven't been doing intervals. Like, it's, and Tom's very similar to us of like, okay, now's the time of the season, like, keep riding, keep training, but don't think about it as training. I'm like, cool, I want to go for some KOMs here. So anyways, I look back, I'm like, damn, I've been doing this for kind of a long time. Which, what my hypothesis is, the reason I feel extra tired right now, when I haven't been racing, I've been at home, no other miles, it's continually going way too hard. And now I'm feeling the effects of that built up fatigue. So I'm going to look at these 7 weeks. I'm going to look at 7 weeks before Masters Nationals. Like, what does super dialed training look like? I'm going to look at just before that for Amateur Nationals. And then I'm going to look at 7 random weeks, maybe from like January 1st through 7 weeks of that. What is base training? Even though I was base training, but Tom and I, we were doing some like harder efforts for sure that I think maybe might have been a little bit too hard then. And I'm going to look at things like how much 100% VO2 max time. Just look at the different zones, like how would my distribution of riding, and see if there's any threads or trends or whatnot. I think that because of bike races, which will have more hard efforts than what I could do just doing KOMs, I'm thinking the times might line up similarly on hard efforts, but I'm not really sure. I know that the January ones they should be much lower, but I think those be really interesting. And I don't know. It actually, the reason I do, some people might say, hey, why do you do this? I do it because I like getting excited for base season. Like I'm going to start mine first week in November. I'm excited to be like, okay, I got those out of my system. I'm going to, I'm ready to ride endurance. And I might even change 5 blocks to racing. I think there might be a few too many hard tempo sessions in there early on. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it's good part of the year. Kind of happy where things are at.
Yeah. I'm got a recording on Saturday, so Saturday's a bit busy, and then Sunday is Gravel Revival.
That's right.
Which is 60 miles or so, a little bit more than 60 miles of mixed surface and like something like 11, 12 little short climbs.
Is it a race?
What's that?
Is that a race?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
It's out in, it's a little bit west of Nashville in Hickman County. It's hosted by our shop, Moab.
Moab Bikes, plug. Best shop in pretty close to the world.
I mean, honestly, it's crazy. The legend of Moab Bikes is like pretty long term. Mark started this place in like an upstairs apartment. It was the first one. It was like a back apartment. There was like a ramp to it. It was very funny the way he described it. And now they were the first dealer ever to have like both BMC and Cannondale or something like that. He like sat the CEOs down in the same room. It was like, guys, we can sell both brands. And he like was the first person to figure that out. Anyway, Mark's the man. It's a great shop. They do a lot of good.
They still support me and like go out of their way. And I don't live in Nashville. Now, granted, they know that people in Nashville follow me on social media or like I can help them. And that's what I was saying. Like, dude, how can I help you guys out more besides just doing posts? But they are just such a giving group of people for two people that love cycling. Like, and they're like, dude, you love riding. Like, we want to be a part of this. And it just blows my mind. I mean, that's actually, I'm getting a new bike, bought it through them. So
yeah, pretty. He'll do a lot for people and not ask for anything. It's kind of a very, very cool. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so that's their race. That's Sunday, and that's kind of that's the plan.
Noggle, did anybody sign up for your race yet?
4 people total.
You gonna get the dub?
I'm hoping so, man. There's some strong guys, some strong local guys that I know.
Good.
But yeah, it looks like snow actually on Sunday. There's a chance of snow.
Home race, Josh?
I'm actually in upstate New York, so technically, yeah. I mean, I'm home as in I'm up here, but now I'm in Connecticut. Yeah. So yeah, it should be fun. My family's gonna come out and watch. It's gonna be cool.
Wait, you're in Utica right now?
I am.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, good luck out there.
Thanks, man.
Bike Radio 3. Are we good?
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I think next time I'm going to kick off with what I come up with from this. Well, my pen just broke. From this breakdown of KOM riding and see what else is going on in the world of bikes.
Keep us posted.
All right, y'all. Josh, do you edit this or do you just post it straight up? Or I'll talk to you guys afterwards.
Okay, we'll chat after.
See you.
All right.
See you guys.
Bye, everybody.